Love. It's the thing that keeps poets writing, musicians singing, and pretty much every rom-com alive. But what if love wasn't just some mystical, uncontrollable force? What if there were actual science-backed techniques to make someone fall for you? That's exactly what Leil Lowndes explores in How to Make Anyone Fall in Love with You. And no, it's not about tricking or manipulating someone, it's about understanding the psychology of attraction and using it to your advantage. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who wasn't necessarily the best-looking person in the room, yet somehow, everyone was drawn to them? Maybe they had this magnetic energy, the kind of confidence that made them instantly attractive. That's because attraction isn't just about looks, it's about psychology, body language, and the way we make people feel about themselves. Lowndes breaks it all down into 85 practical techniques, but let's be honest, who has time for all that? So, let's dive into the core ideas that make this book so powerful. First impressions matter more than you think. In fact, studies show people decide within seconds whether they're romantically interested in someone. That's why your body language, eye contact, and even the way you dress can make or break attraction before you even open your mouth. Ever notice how some people have this effortless charm? They make eye contact just long enough, they smile in a way that feels genuine, and they seem completely comfortable in their own skin. That's not an accident, it's a skill. And it's one you can learn. But beyond first impressions, there's something deeper at play. We tend to fall for people who reflect our own values and interests, yet also challenge us in just the right ways. This is why couples who are too similar often get bored, while those who are total opposites struggle to connect. The trick is finding a balance, being familiar enough to feel comfortable but different enough to stay exciting. And you can create this illusion of connection through something called mirroring. When you subtly match someone's speech patterns, gestures, or even their energy level, it sends a subconscious signal that you get them. It's like a secret handshake for attraction. And then there's ego. Let's be real, people love feeling good about themselves. Compliments work, but not just any compliment. If you want to make an impact, highlight something unique about the person, something they're secretly proud of. Instead of, "You have nice eyes," try, "I love the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you're passionate about." See the difference? One is generic, the other makes them feel special. But love isn't just about flattery, it's also about fairness. We all have an unconscious scoreboard in our heads, constantly evaluating whether a relationship feels equal. If someone feels like they're giving way more than they're getting, attraction fades. So if you want to make someone fall in love with you, show them that being with you adds value to their life. Attraction isn't luck. It's not just chemistry. It's something you can create, shape, and amplify with the right approach. And once you understand how it works, love doesn't seem so mysterious anymore. It becomes something you can actually control. So, are you ready to make someone fall for you? Stay tuned because we're just getting started. So, if attraction isn't just luck or magic, what is it? What actually makes someone fall in love? Science has been asking this question for decades, and the answers might surprise you. It turns out, love isn't just a feeling, it's a series of predictable psychological triggers. Leil Lowndes distills them into 6 key elements: first impressions, similarity, ego, fairness, gender differences, and sexual attraction. Master these, and you're not just hoping for love, you're creating it. Let's start with first impressions, because whether we like it or not, they matter a lot. Research shows that within just a few seconds of meeting someone, their brain is already making a go or no-go decision about attraction. And once that impression is formed, it's ridiculously hard to change. That's why how you present yourself, your body language, the way you carry yourself, even your tone of voice plays a bigger role than most people realize. Ever notice how the most charismatic people walk into a room with an energy that makes people turn their heads? That's confidence. And confidence is magnetic. Eye contact, for example, is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to create an instant spark. Studies show that when two people hold eye contact for longer than usual, their bodies actually produce more of the same chemicals associated with falling in love. So the next time you're talking to someone you're interested in, hold their gaze just a little longer. Not in a creepy way, just enough to create a moment of connection. And if you want to take it to the next level, try sticky eyes. This means when they stop talking, don't immediately look away. Let your gaze linger just a second longer. It creates this subtle, almost hypnotic effect that makes people feel drawn to you without even knowing why. But let's be real, good looks and confidence can only take you so far. The real foundation of attraction is similarity. People are naturally drawn to those who remind them of themselves. And it makes sense, similarity makes us feel safe, understood, and validated. But here's the trick, you don't have to actually be just like someone to create this effect. You just have to make them feel like you are. This is where something called mirroring comes in. If you subtly match someone's gestures, speech patterns, or even the way they phrase things, their brain picks up on it and registers you as one of us. It's a psychological shortcut that instantly creates a sense of familiarity and comfort. And it works on a deeper level too. If you're on a date and they mention loving a certain kind of music, instead of just saying, "Oh, that's cool," you could say, "No way, I love that too. What's your favorite song?" Suddenly, you're not just another person they're talking to, you're someone who gets them. Now, similarity is important, but so is complementarity. Nobody wants to date their carbon copy. That's where a little contrast comes in. People are attracted to those who fill in the gaps of what they're missing. Think about it, if someone is naturally shy, they might be drawn to someone more outgoing. If someone is really logical, they might be intrigued by someone more creative. The key is finding that balance, being similar enough to create connection, but different enough to keep things exciting. And speaking of excitement, let's talk about one of the biggest factors in attraction: ego. No, not your ego, but theirs. The truth is, people don't just fall for someone because they're good-looking or successful. They fall for people who make them feel good about themselves. Think about the last time someone gave you a really thoughtful compliment, something beyond the usual, "You look nice," or "You're funny." Maybe they pointed out something unique about you, something you secretly take pride in. How did that make you feel? Probably pretty amazing. That's because humans are wired to seek validation. We're naturally drawn to people who reflect back the best versions of ourselves. So if you want someone to feel a deeper connection with you, pay attention to what makes them feel special. Instead of generic compliments, highlight something personal. Instead of, "You have a great smile," try, "I love how your whole face lights up when you talk about something you're passionate about." That little shift makes all the difference. It's not about flattery, it's about making someone feel truly seen. But love isn't just about making someone feel good in the moment. Long-term attraction is built on something deeper: fairness. Whether we realize it or not, we all keep a mental scorecard in relationships. It's called the equity principle, and it basically means people want to feel like they're getting as much as they're giving. If a relationship feels one-sided, if someone feels like they're putting in all the effort while the other person coasts, it creates resentment. And this applies even in the early stages of attraction. If you're always the one initiating conversations, making plans, and putting in all the energy, the other person starts to subconsciously devalue you. That's why the whole "playing hard to get" thing actually works. It creates a sense of balance. Now, that doesn't mean you should be distant or manipulative, but you should make sure you're not overgiving. Let the other person invest in you too. Of course, we can't talk about attraction without touching on one of the biggest factors: gender differences. Now, before anyone rolls their eyes, hear me out. Science has proven that men and women, on average, have different ways of perceiving and expressing attraction. Men tend to be more visual, they respond strongly to physical cues and body language. Women, on the other hand, are more influenced by emotional and social signals. What does this mean in practice? If you're a guy, it means paying attention to how you make her feel. Confidence and social intelligence are just as attractive as looks. If you're a woman, it means recognizing that men are often drawn to what they see, but stay for what they feel. So while physical attraction may be the initial hook, emotional connection is what keeps someone truly interested. And finally, there's the undeniable role of sexual attraction. Chemistry isn't just about physical appearance, it's about the tiny signals we send without even realizing it. The way someone leans in when they talk to you, the way they touch your arm lightly during a conversation, the way they playfully tease you, all of these things create tension and anticipation. One of the easiest ways to build this kind of chemistry is through something called the copulatory gaze. It sounds complicated, but it's actually simple. Instead of just looking someone in the eyes, let your gaze slowly move down to their lips and back up again. It's a subtle, almost subconscious way to signal attraction without saying a word. And trust me, people notice it. At the end of the day, love isn't just about luck or fate, it's about connection. It's about creating the right moments, sending the right signals, and making someone feel something they can't quite explain. When you understand these principles, attraction stops being random and starts being something you can actually create. So, now that we've covered what makes people fall in love, the next question is, how do you actually put it into action? How do you take these concepts and turn them into real-world results? Stay tuned, because that's exactly what we're diving into next. So now that we know what makes people fall in love, the next question is, how do you actually use this in real life? Because understanding attraction is one thing, but putting it into action, that's where the real magic happens. This is where we take everything we've talked about: first impressions, similarity, ego, fairness, gender differences, and sexual attraction, and turn it into a practical, step-by-step game plan. Let's start with the basics: first impressions. We've already established that people decide whether they're attracted to someone within seconds. So, what's the first step? Simple: always be ready. You never know when you're going to run into someone amazing at the grocery store, on your way to work, even walking your dog. And yet, most people only put effort into their appearance when they're going somewhere important. Big mistake. If you want to increase your chances of making a great first impression, you have to show up as your best self everywhere. Now, does that mean you need to be dressed to the nines every time you step outside? Of course not. But looking put together, carrying yourself with confidence, and being approachable? That should be your default setting. Because here's the truth: the people who seem to magically attract others aren't lucky, they're just consistent. And speaking of attraction, let's talk about the most underrated yet powerful tool you have: eye contact. If you take one thing from this, let it be this: look at people like you're already in love with them. Sounds weird, right? But think about it. When someone looks at you with warmth, interest, and just the slightest hint of mystery, it's intoxicating. It makes you feel seen. It makes you feel special. And that is what creates a spark. So, the next time you're talking to someone you're interested in, practice holding their gaze just a little longer than usual. Not in a staring contest kind of way, but in a way that says, "I see you. And I like what I see." Combine that with a genuine smile, and you've just set the stage for instant chemistry. Now, making a great first impression is important, but it's just the beginning. Because attraction isn't just about how someone sees you, it's about how they feel when they're around you. And one of the best ways to create that connection: similarity and complementarity. People naturally gravitate towards those who feel familiar. We like people who like the same things we do, who share our values, who just get us. But here's the trick: you don't need to actually be exactly like someone to create this feeling, you just need to highlight the similarities that already exist. One of the easiest ways to do this is through something called mirroring. This means subtly matching their energy, speech patterns, and even body language. If they talk fast, you talk a little faster. If they're calm and soft-spoken, you mirror that. Done correctly, mirroring makes people feel an instant connection because, on a subconscious level, it tells them, we're alike. We're on the same wavelength. But similarity alone isn't enough. You also need a touch of difference. If you're too similar, things get boring fast. The key is to find the right balance, being familiar enough to create comfort but different enough to stay exciting. That could mean having a unique perspective on something they care about, introducing them to something new, or just being a little unpredictable. Alright, now let's talk about ego. This one's huge. Because at the end of the day, people don't fall for you because of who you are. They fall for you because of how they feel about themselves when they're around you. That's why flattery works, but only if you do it right. Here's the thing, generic compliments don't do much. If you tell someone, "You're really pretty," or "You're so smart," it's nice, but it's forgettable. But if you compliment something specific, something they're secretly proud of, that hits different. For example, instead of saying, "You're funny," try, "I love the way you tell stories, you make everything sound so interesting." Instead of, "You're really attractive," try, "You have the most incredible energy." People must love being around you. See the difference? One feels like something they've heard 1,000 times. The other makes them feel truly seen. And here's a secret bonus tip, compliment people on what they like about themselves. If someone loves their sense of humor, validate it. If they take pride in their work, acknowledge it. When you do this, it creates a deep, emotional bond because you're reinforcing the identity they want to have. Now, let's get into something a little less obvious, fairness. This is where a lot of people go wrong, especially when they really like someone. They start overgiving, always being the one to text first, always making the plans, always putting in more effort. And while generosity is great, too much can actually backfire. Why? Because when something comes too easily, people don't value it as much. It's human nature. The most attractive people aren't the ones who chase, they're the ones who create just enough challenge to keep things interesting. That's why balance is key. If you're always the one initiating, take a step back and let them come to you. If you're always giving, allow yourself to receive. When both people feel like they're contributing equally, attraction naturally deepens. And of course, we can't talk about attraction without addressing gender differences. Now, obviously, everyone is different, but generally speaking, men and women tend to respond to different signals. Men are more visual, they're drawn to confidence, playfulness, and a little bit of mystery. Women, on the other hand, are often more influenced by emotional connection, social status, and how a man makes her feel. So what does this mean in practice? If you're a guy, focus less on trying to impress a woman and more on creating an experience with her, one that makes her feel seen, valued, and emotionally engaged. If you're a woman, understand that attraction isn't just about looking good, it's about being intriguing. Mystery and unpredictability are your best friends. And finally, we get to the big one, sexual attraction. Now, a lot of people think this just happens, but there are actually ways to build it consciously. One of the easiest. Tension and anticipation. For example, when talking to someone you're attracted to, slow down your movements just a little. When you make eye contact, hold it a second longer than usual before looking away. When you touch them, whether it's a playful nudge or a casual hand on the shoulder, do it intentionally. Little things like this build an unspoken chemistry that people feel. At the end of the day, love isn't random. Attraction isn't luck. It's something you can create. And when you start applying these techniques, you'll notice something amazing. You'll stop hoping for people to like you, and instead, you'll start drawing them in. Now, we've covered a lot, but there's still one more thing we need to talk about, something that can make or break everything we've just discussed. And that's the blind spot, the common mistakes people make when trying to build attraction. If you're not careful, these can sabotage everything. So stay tuned, because that's what we're tackling next. Now, here's the thing, everything we've talked about so far. The eye contact, the confidence, the ego boosts, the balance of effort, it all works. But only if you avoid the biggest trap that so many people fall into when trying to make someone fall in love. The blind spot. This is where people sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They think they're doing everything right, but somehow, things just don't click. Ever had that happen? You follow all the rules, but the person you like doesn't seem to respond the way you expected? They don't get excited to see you. They don't put in effort. Or worse, they start pulling away. So what's happening? Why does attraction sometimes break instead of build? One of the biggest blind spots in attraction is neediness. And before you start thinking, that's not me, let's be clear, neediness isn't just about blowing up someone's phone or always wanting to hang out. It's more subtle than that. It's in the way you react and they don't text back right away. It's in the little moments when you adjust your personality to fit what you think they'll like. It's in the energy of trying to win someone over instead of letting things flow naturally. People can sense when you need their validation more than you should. And the second someone feels like they have all the power, the attraction starts to fade. Why? Because deep down, we're not drawn to people who chase us. We're drawn to people who make us want to chase them. Think about it. Who are you more intrigued by, the person who's just there, always available, always eager to please? Or the one who has their own life, their own confidence, and a sense of mystery? The one who isn't trying to impress you, but somehow still does. That's the difference between wanting someone and needing someone. The more you need someone to like you, the less likely they are to feel it. Attraction is like a flame, it needs oxygen. If you smother it with too much effort, it dies out. So how do you fix this? Simple. You shift the energy. Instead of thinking, I hope they like me, start thinking, do I even like them? Instead of constantly giving, sit back and see if they put in effort too. Instead of over-explaining, over-texting, over-trying, relax. Let them come to you sometimes. The second blind spot. Over-strategizing. Now, this might sound weird, especially since we've been talking about all these attraction techniques. But here's the catch: if you treat attraction like a checklist instead of a natural interaction, it starts to feel forced. And people feel that. There's a fine line between being intentional and being calculated. If you're thinking, okay, I need to mirror their body language, now I should compliment them, now I need to hold eye contact for exactly 3.5 seconds, you're doing too much. Attraction should feel effortless, even when you're applying these techniques. It's like learning to dance. At first, you think about every step. But once you get good at it, you stop thinking, you just move. The next blind spot is a big one, assuming attraction works the same for everyone. It doesn't. Some people fall fast, some need time. Some are drawn to confidence, some are drawn to kindness. The key isn't to follow a one-size-fits-all approach, it's to pay attention. Watch how they respond. Adjust based on them, not just based on a script. And finally, the most dangerous blind spot, chasing the wrong person. Because let's be honest, not everyone you're attracted to is actually right for you. Sometimes, people aren't emotionally available. Sometimes, they're playing games. Sometimes, they're just not that into you. And the worst thing you can do? Waste your energy trying to force something that isn't meant to be. Attraction isn't about convincing someone to like you. It's about finding someone who naturally does. Someone who puts in as much effort as you do. Someone who values you, respects you, and sees you the way you deserve to be seen. So here's the takeaway: attraction is a two-way street. If you're doing all the right things but they're still not responding, it's not about you. It's about them. And your best move? Walk away. Redirect your energy towards someone who actually sees you. Because the truth is, you don't need to make anyone fall in love with you. You just need to be the kind of person who naturally attracts the right one. And when that happens, you won't have to chase. You won't have to overthink. You won't have to question if they're interested. You'll just know. If you found how to make anyone fall in love with you fascinating, there are other great books that dive deeper into attraction, relationships, and human psychology. The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene explores historical and psychological strategies of influence and charm. Attached by Amir, Levine and Rachel Heller breaks down how attachment styles impact relationships. The 5 Love Languages by Chapman helps you understand how people express and receive love differently. Mastering attraction isn't just about techniques, it's about understanding human nature. The more you learn, the more naturally you'll build real, lasting connections. Attraction isn't luck. It's not just about looks, chemistry, or fate. It's about understanding human psychology, what makes people feel seen, valued, and emotionally connected. How to Make Anyone Fall in Love with You breaks down the science of love, showing that romance isn't as mysterious as we once thought. The key takeaways. First impressions matter more than we realize. Similarity and complementarity create deep bonds. Boosting someone's ego makes them crave your presence, and attraction needs balance. Too much effort can actually push people away. But perhaps the most important lesson is this: attraction isn't about tricking someone into loving you. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally draws others in. Confidence, emotional intelligence, and self-respect are what make someone truly irresistible. If you chase love, it often slips away. But when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, love finds you. So, as you go forward, remember these techniques are tools, not guarantees. Real love isn't just about sparking attraction, it's about sustaining it through authenticity and connection. Use what you've learned wisely, and don't just look for love, build the kind of life where love naturally thrives. And when you meet the right person, you won't have to force anything. It will just happen. Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which insight resonated with you the most. See you in the next video.